Holding a press conference addressing federal cyber stalking charges against 6 individuals. Let's listen in.
Of harassment and intimidation against a middle-aged couple living in Natick, Massachusetts. That couple published an online newsletter that reviewed and was sometimes critical of eBay and other e-commerce companies. Jim Baugh, eBay's former senior director of safety and security, is being sought by federal agents in California, while David Harville, eBay's former director of global resiliency, was arrested this morning in New York City. They were charged with conspiracy to commit cyberstalking and conspiracy to tamper with an investigation. 4 other co-conspirators, all of whom worked at eBay, were also charged with the same crimes: Stephanie Popp, Stephanie Stockwell, Veronica Zay, and Brian Gilbert, who notably is a former police captain with the Santa Clara, California Police Department. The complaint alleges that the victims were targeted because eBay executives were unhappy with the coverage of eBay on the couple's website. To be clear, based on the complaint unsealed today, eBay executives were not merely unhappy with the victims' coverage, they were enraged. One of those executives texted that he wanted to, quote, crush this lady, unquote, referring to the woman in the couple who ran the site, and another told Baugh, his subordinate, to, quote, take her down, unquote. The result, as alleged in the complaint, was a systematic campaign fueled by the resources of a Fortune 500 company to emotionally and psychologically terrorize this middle-aged couple in Natick, with the goal of deterring them from writing bad things online about eBay. The harassment scheme had 3 phases: sending disturbing deliveries to the couple's home in Natick day and night, sending the couple anonymous, threatening messages online, and actual physical surveillance in the Boston area. Starting in August 2019, Baugh directed Popp and Zay and others to set up anonymous email accounts, cell phones, and internet connections, and use them to send harassing and disturbing deliveries to the victim's home, all paid for with prepaid debit cards. These deliveries included fly larvae and live spiders, a box of live cockroaches, a sympathy wreath on the occasion of the death of a loved one, a book of advice on how to survive the death of a spouse, pornography mailed to their next-door neighbors but in the couple's names, a Halloween mask featuring the face of a bloody pig, and a pig fetus which was ordered but after an inquiry by the supplier, thankfully was never sent. Simultaneously, it is alleged in the complaint that Baugh and defendant Brian Gilbert had Stephanie Popp set up fake social media accounts from which they sent threats to the victims. The messages, laced with profanity, took credit for the deliveries and were intended to look like messages from people who actually sell on eBay and who disapproved of the couple's website's coverage of the company. I'm not going to read these publicly because they're really profane. They're quoted verbatim in the complaint that was unsealed today. I'll give you a mild example, one from a Twitter private message to the couple on August 7th, 2019, saying, quote, what it going to take for you to answer me? Guess I'm going to have to get your attention another way, bitch, close quote. Another tweet on August 10th came 14 minutes after the bloody pig mask was delivered to their residence. It said in all caps, quote, do I have your attention now? In the 3rd phase, Baugh, Harville, and others flew from California to Boston to physically surveil the couple at their home and around Natick, Massachusetts. This allegedly included trying to break into the couple's garage so they could install a GPS on their car. Before the trip, Baugh and others practiced installing a GPS on a Toyota RAV4 in the eBay parking lot. Over the next few days, the defendants followed the victims in a series of rental cars. They would swap them out. Meanwhile, the online harassment continued and worsened. On August 18th, just after midnight, the defendants posted a classified ad on Craigslist, purportedly from the couple, inviting singles, couples, and swingers, quote unquote, to their house to party after 10 p.m. each night. People were encouraged to knock on the couple's door at any time, day and night. Less than an hour later, using a fake Twitter account, the defendants publicly posted the wife's name and age, the couple's home address. According to the complaint, following weeks of this, Baugh next set in motion a strategy to manipulate the couple into believing that eBay was reaching out to help them stop the harassment campaign. This was an effort to earn the couple's trust by having one of the defendants, Brian Gilbert, call them as a representative of eBay and offer help in investigating the harassment campaign, which of course was being orchestrated by the defendants themselves. Gilbert called the victims on August 21st. Based on the complaint, he reported back to other co-defendants that they, quote, are totally rattled, unquote, and had referred Gilbert to the Natick police. He observed that while one of the victims was, quote, a bitch, unquote, the other was more receptive to his call. By the end of August 2019, the defendants, now aware that the Natick Police Department was investigating, turned their attention to deceiving the police. They allegedly fabricated internal eBay documents to create the appearance that for some time eBay had been concerned about seemingly crazy online criticism on the couple's website, including the false allegation that the couple had threatened the company's CEO. Further, as part of their strategy to manipulate and control the situation, defendant Gilbert also offered to talk to the Natick PD, to, of course, supposedly offer eBay's assistance. When Gilbert met with the police, he allegedly lied to them about the origin of the harassment campaign and his involvement in it. At one point, when several of the defendants feared that the Natick police might trace the harassment campaign back to California, they compiled a list of people living in the Santa Clara area who they might be able to frame for the harassment activity if needed. Defendant Baugh directed Stephanie Popp and Stephanie Stockwell to find suitable candidates in the Santa Clara area. Later, it's alleged the defendants also lied to eBay's in-house lawyers who were trying to figure out what was going on. Defendants Harville and Popp were interviewed by phone, both lying about their involvement. Popp then allegedly sat in on the phone interviews of other co-defendants to coach them about what to say to the in-house lawyers at eBay. Finally, to complete the picture, the group allegedly tried to delete all text and social media messages related to the scheme, but as you'll see in the complaint, failed to do so. This was a determined, systematic effort by senior employees of a major company to destroy the lives of a couple in Natick, all because they published content the company executives didn't like. For a while, they succeeded, psychologically devastating these victims for weeks as they desperately tried to figure out what was going on and stop it. I've said before that federal law enforcement has a role to play when people attempt to weaponize the internet to terrorize and coerce others. And here, that was done to protect a corporation's brand. I should note that once the scheme was uncovered, eBay was extremely cooperative with the investigation in helping state and federal authorities figure out what had happened and collect evidence of the crime. I want to thank the FBI for its usual professionalism in this case, as well as the prosecutors in my office's Securities, Financial, and Cyber Fraud Unit. Thanks are especially due as well to the Natick Police Department, which first uncovered the larger scheme here and through its investigation was able to put the co-conspirators on the defensive. This is a good example of something that should be blindingly obvious, which is that our local police actually do spend their time trying to keep our communities safe, like the victims here. Once you push aside the overheated politics and increasingly absurd rhetoric on policing, this case is a reminder, one of hundreds you could find on a given day, that our local police departments are not optional. They are, in fact, crucial to maintaining a safe and free society.